my life. And once I got fit, I was like, dang, I'm never going back. I'm never going back.
This is nice.
Yeah, this is nice. This is so effortless. And like my first rep looked the same as my 10th rep because I wasn't so fatigued and completely dying on the field, right?
Right.
And so that's like another benefit of being fit is like you can last longer in training, and because you can last longer in training, you have more opportunities to get better and improve. And there's nothing worse. There is nothing worse than feeling like you can't breathe and that your quads are, on fire, and now you're having to think about applying feedback.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but like if I'm even now as an adult, like if I'm on the treadmill and my heart rate is over 150, I can't do simple math. So like, if you're unfit and you're trying to apply feedback in the moment, it's a lot harder.
It is tough.
Yeah, it is tough. All right, I got number 2. And I'm excited because I think that this one is actually something you might need support with in terms of like getting better. But I think understanding the game more deeply is something that is immediately going to help you be a better goalkeeper, because not only one, can you make decisions reflective of what the environment is giving you or the information that's available to you, but you're also able to play to your strengths more. Right. So if I understand the game and I know the ball's in behind the back line, which is a podcast that we did a few weeks ago, you guys go back and look at that one in space defense. But if I know the ball's in behind the back line, I know, okay, I need to get there first. If you can get there first, great. You can snuff it out and be as preventative as possible. But if not, all right, I know that the ball is bouncing. So that makes it harder for me. So I'm going to reposition to defend the goal. If you understand those principles of the position, you can recognize the information more freely and quickly, but also you can play to your strengths more often as well, which makes you more effective goalkeeper when you're playing to your strengths. And if you guys need some support with understanding the game, we have a class called TKI University, which is for goalkeepers all over the world. We have someone from Thailand in our class right now. We have players all over the US, and we meet 3 times a month, 2 as a class and 1 as an individual meeting. 1 is with me on the Tech Tac, 1 is with Dr. Christiana Ogunsami now. She talks about the mental side, and we want to support you understanding the game because it's so, again, like I say, it's misunderstood and people overcomplicate it when it actually really isn't that overcomplicated. If you have some simple principles, you can interpret the position based on your skill set, based on the environment that's before you, and crush it more consistently.
That's good. That's really good.
All right.
Number 3.
Yeah, we're up to number 3.
Number 3 bleeds in kind of to the tactical side of understanding. Game understanding is like, I think the character part, right? Like both come down to not necessarily just what you could do and produce on the field, but how you perceive and how you handle things on the field has a really big play on, your decision making and your training mentality. I think one area that you could do to maximize your capabilities is just learn how to handle failure better. Learn how to handle failure better. Learn how you best maybe apply or receive feedback. That way you can take the most out of each training session. Find a few things that help you through the hard moments, but also understand who you are as a goalkeeper. Like, am I really resilient and courageous? Or maybe my strengths are the fact that I am willing to go out and try new things. I'm very, I guess, exploratory. Is that a word?
Curious.
I don't know. Curious. Yeah, thanks, Jill. Yeah. You always got my back. That's a bestie right there.
I got you.
You got to understand these things about yourself, and you also have to know the ones that maybe you struggle. Maybe I have a really, really hard time bouncing back from adversities. So, welcome to the Keeper Institute podcast. My name is Tori Corsaro. I'm a strength and conditioning and goalkeeper coach here at the Keeper Institute, and your host for today's show. The Keeper Institute is a unique goalkeeper training facility in New Jersey aimed at developing better goalkeepers and better people. On this podcast, we will be discussing all things goalkeeping, character development, and more. Back to the Keeper Institute podcast. We're so back, baby.
We are so back. I'm pumped.
I can't wait. I mean, we took a little bit longer break than usual, but I do think due to scheduling, we both needed it. So we're here, we're refreshed, we're ready to give you our absolute best to everyone who's listening or maybe watching. Who knows?
I feel super passionate about making this the best season that we've ever had, because I feel like our community of goalkeepers and coaches and parents are all like starving for ways to improve. Like I've felt in the last year more specifically, like, wow, people are just so hungry to learn and develop themselves and grow. And we want to have those conversations that hopefully can help you take some space in your goalkeeping journey, because quite frankly, we need more goalkeeper coaches who are investing into young people more and more, because this position is wildly misunderstood and under-resourced. And that's why we want to help you guys. And Tori and I feel super passionate that we have this platform to do it. So let's recap our summer real quick.
That's a quick recap. Just also side note, I had to make myself taller because I felt like the mic was at my chin and I didn't like that. So if you were like, what just happened there? I didn't grow, unfortunately, but I did get taller in the chair. I'll start us off. My summer, excellent, full of TKI, full of friend time, which was amazing. I love getting to spend time with everyone. My parents moved back closer, so an opportunity to spend a lot of time with them, which was excellent because we didn't get that before. And preparing for the fall season, which we're in now. And I guess it was also full of love because I got engaged.
Yeah, I was going to say, you can't leave that out. You can't omit that.
I know. I knew you would want me to say that, so I did. I was saving the best for last.
I'm glad you did. So you were having a great summer. I had a great summer. My kids are getting bigger and we're able to do more activities. We went to the water park, obviously the beach every day, swimming, but just seeing them grow and blossom as human beings and finding their personality, and also teaching. Like, you know how like people walk around with shirts that have security on the back, you know, they easily identify that they are the bodyguard and security. I just want to walk around my life just with on my back, just educator, because I feel like that's just my hat that I constantly wear, whether it's coaching here and educating goalkeepers, or educating our coaches, or educating my kids, or educating people through my punditry. Like, I just feel like that's more and more I'm finding alignment with that word. And yeah, and educating myself. Like, I'm obsessed with learning. I'm obsessed. I love it so much. Whether it's through books, podcasts, watching, just spending some time like with quiet to like figure out myself and like learn more about myself. Like, that is something that this summer I felt like was on full display for me. So something I'm really passionate about and enjoy. So it was a good summer.
Heck yeah, we love that. We love it.
Great. Well, hopefully. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
I was going to say I can't really handle the fact that your two boys are growing up. I'm like having a hard time with back to school, and like they look like teenagers. I can't even imagine how you and Maria feel, because I'm like, they were just little babies.
It's funny because today was her first day of school. Levi got picked up at the bus, and it was a weird, bittersweet type feeling. Like, you know how sometimes you feel one thing and a different thing, and those things might be contrasting? It was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sad that like you're growing up so fast and you're going back to school, and get your booty on that bus because I have to go to work, and like I can't wait to have my routine. So it was a both and type situation this morning. Yeah. And I'm excited for him to like go and make friends and be part of someone else's little like community where he can add and benefit and grow in. So yeah, it
teach his teachers probably a thing or two about big animals.
About big animals, little animals. Today I asked him what your favorite animal is. He said snowshoe hare. I'm like, okay, here we go. And then I asked him, because I remember what the predators are, and I said, do you remember what the predators are? He was like, I said, Canadian lynx. Yes, this is random facts that we know in our house. Yes.
Yeah. So good luck to his teachers.
Yes, exactly. Okay. Well, in lieu of, or in alignment with the teaching thing, we're hoping that we can educate you guys today on 3 immediate things that you can implement that's going to make you a better player. And then we have 3 more things that are going to instantly make you a better coach. And these are things that require no sweat equity. You don't need to go run, sprint, jump, nothing. It just requires a little bit of strategery and planning, and also just some deliberate work and putting things into habit. Something I'm learning more recently is that we want to make decisions subconsciously, and the more we can implement something into a habit, the easier it becomes and the more we can benefit from it. So I'm excited to get into these. Let's just call them 3 habits.
3 habits. I think that's a great way to say it. They're easy to do, potentially, but hard to do because you have to ask it of yourself.
For sure. All right, let's start with the players. So number 1 is find a reason to praise yourself every single day. Praise yourself every single day. It's great if someone else praises you. Like, when you come to training and we gas you up, that's great. And we'll say like, oh, we're proud of you for this, or we're proud of you for that. But like, ultimately what we really want from you is to find reasons that you're proud of your own self, because that's internal validation that you can always have. It's always there if you choose it. It's always there if you want it. You don't have to wait for me to say good job. You don't have to wait for the newspaper article to write something about you to feel good about yourself, right? And something that we try to do at the end of every session is we'll say, well, what are you proud of yourself for? And it doesn't have to be an outcome. It can be some kind of like positive outcome, like, oh, I finally learned how to push over the floor in my low dive. Great. That's awesome. We're happy for you. But sometimes I'll even like peel back the layers of like, well, what did that require of your character to be able to do that? Right. Let's praise that. Like, let's not just praise the outcome. How about all the efforts that you didn't get right in order so that you could learn and grow and develop? How about that? How about the resilience, the determination, the persistence that it required of you to be able to do that? Let's praise that, because that's kind of, to me, like a muscle. Like, the more you use it, the stronger it gets, and the more that you are willing to put in the work to show determination and grit to be able to get the outcome that you want. And I think we've talked about this before, like how good character is like my Dunkin' Donuts rewards app. The more you use it, the more you get. And like, the more coffee I buy, the more I get for free. It's the same thing. The more that you flex your bravery muscles, the more you flex your persistence and determination muscles, the larger they get. And then that way, when the next obstacle and hurdle comes, it doesn't require so much effort from you. It doesn't require so much like deliberation. Am I going to do this or not? You're like, yeah, I'm doing it because I know I'm strong enough to be able to do it. And I think it's important that every single day that you praise yourself for something, whether that is, a game day and the outcomes weren't what you wanted. I'm going to praise myself because I chose in that moment, even if it was for 5 minutes, I chose in that moment that I was going to try to deal with the negative thoughts in my head and the limiting beliefs I had about myself. Or whether it's a training day of like, I didn't get that low dive, but I'm proud of myself that I didn't want to light Coach Jill on fire because I was so frustrated. I managed that a little bit better, right? Or it's a rest day. I'm proud of myself that I didn't think about football all day and I completely took it off and I feel refreshed, whatever it might be. I don't know if that's something that you do in your everyday life, but I'm trying to do that more and more.
I don't know that I do every day, but like, what a nice little thing to do for yourself. And I kept thinking of the phrase while you were talking, like, fake it till you make it, right? Everyone talks about fake it till you make it, but with something like this, you don't have to fake it. Like, you're actively looking for something, but it builds, I think, the outcome of fake it till you make it. Like, people are saying, oh, fake your confidence, fake this until you start to feel it. You don't have to fake it. You can find it. Find your confidence till you make it, right? Like, until it becomes habit. And I think that this is something you can add in every single day that actually does that for you. A little praise goes a long way. A little bit of like figuring out, what did I do well today? Or what am I just really proud of myself for? Or where did I surprise myself? I think can start to build that, like, quote unquote, fake it till you make it. But it's actually real. It's not something you had to make up.
Totally. And extra brownie points if you actually write it down somewhere, whether it's in your notebook or your phone or whatever. September 4th, I showed grit and resilience because the last thing I wanted to do was to do RDLs, single leg, because I hate that exercise. I didn't want to do it, but I did it anyway. And I'm so glad that I did. Literally could take you 30 seconds to write that down or voice memo yourself. You can reflect back on it to be like, dang, I did do these things. Sometimes like, I'm on TikTok. I know that Maria makes fun of me for being on TikTok, but I'm like TikTok.
I'm now also on TikTok.
You are on TikTok. You're on the comedian side of TikTok. I
am.
I'm on a different side of TikTok, but
You are.
I listen to a lot. Recently, I've been really trying to put myself, I'm really trying to stretch myself, and more specifically with planning and being persistent, because I think persistence is like a withering virtue these days. Like if it's not fun, or if I didn't do it right the first time, I'm done with it. Like I just feel like persistence and perseverance is just a withering virtue. So for me, I saved this TikTok thing, this guy, and he was saying something that was like, it hit me where I was. And so for this entire week, although it's only Thursday, I've listened to that 30-second clip every day to start my day, because I wanted to put myself in this like really good mindset of like, I want to be persistent and I can be persistent. It's just a friendly reminder for me, a friendly reminder of like, you have been persistent in your past, and you can use it today right now. And it was just like a really good way for me to like set myself up for the day, because that persistence over the course of like, I don't know, 6 months to a year, that feels overwhelming to me. And sometimes when I feel overwhelmed, I'll stop doing something because I'm like, it's too big. But trying really hard, being super intentional, and we'll see if this works. I'm not sure if it's going to work, but I'm going to try and explore it, because ultimately I think it will make me better in the long run, whether it works for me and I choose that, or whether I choose something else that helps me choose persistence more often.
I had to write it down. I liked it so much, so I will certainly be using that.
All right. Number 2. So if number 1 is to find yourself something every day to praise yourself for, number 2 is try active recall. So what do I mean by that? Active recall. I'm not sure what happens when you guys go to your sessions outside of TKI, but when you come to TKI, we have intended outcomes for our session, right? So we'll start our session with me and you, like we'll design our session based around whatever our intended outcomes are. And we try really hard to like use bumper lanes of our intended outcomes. We want to stay within those bumper lanes of what we're trying to explore, because if we give random feedback all over the place, it's really hard and difficult to take away stuff from that, right? So we want to just, our intended outcomes are straight and narrow, and we're going to focus on these couple things, right? When you are in the session and your brain is a little uncomfortable because you're trying to learn something that's new or something that's difficult, you're in the session, and when you walk away from it, you can just maybe have a tendency to leave the session where it was, right? Just leave what you learned on the field. And I think it's incredibly important to actively recall what you just learned so that you don't forget it, right? There's statues all over the world because we're forgetful people. We forget what happened before us. We forget about our history. We have certain holidays so that we don't forget the contributions that a person or people have made, right? So as we know we're forgetful people, if we can find some different ways to actively recall what we learned, we have a better chance of being able to focus on that thing, or remember that thing, or implement that thing, or just bring to our awareness what it is that we're working on. So what could active recall look like? It could look like you get in the car and you're like, hey, mom, dad, this is what I learned today, and I want to teach you about it. I want to teach you about set shape and how that might change. I want to teach you about how to be aggressive in 1v1 situations. And it's not for your parents. It's just for you to be able to teach someone else, because when you teach something, you have to know it. And if you don't know it, you can ask some more questions. But actively recall, like on the way home, take 5 minutes, teach your parents about set shape. When you're done training, there's a goalkeeper that comes here, Sarah Perlis. Every time she's done her training session, she writes down some notes in her notebook. And yes, it does take a little bit more time, maybe a couple minutes. But next time she comes in, she always knows what she worked on and how it went. And she has some kind of idea of like, well, I want to continue to work on this and I need some more support with it. Or, hey, I'm going home to my training session and I learned this at TKI last week and I want to try it. And she gives her coach maybe a little insight on what she's exploring and working on, which I think is phenomenal. But maybe you wait until if you're trained on TKI on a Monday, you on Thursday look back in your notebook and just give it a little like leaf through and see what you've been working on to maybe actively recall that before your game on the weekend so you can continue to implement it there. So active recall is just going to lead to longer lasting learning. That was a tongue twister.
That was a tongue twister, but knowledge, baby. Let's go.
Yeah. That's probably something as a coach that you reflect back on a lot. Like, hey, I worked on, probably in college soccer more, because you're working with the same players every week. And like, do you do IDPs? Because that's like another way to do some recall.
Yeah, so we do IDPs, and field players will get it like every 2 weeks. They'll have new like little tidbits of feedback in their IDP, like maybe a sentence or two. Goalkeepers I work so closely with that they're getting like pretty personalized feedback every single day. So I reserve our IDP time for like different moments throughout the season, preseason, pregame, conference, and but I do film with them. And every time we do film, my ending question is, what did you hear me say as the takeaways from this? And then that way I can write down what they said. And then if I need to clarify, I can clarify. Like maybe they really took a lot of feedback off what I said about protecting the area, but I also wanted them to hear the praise I gave them on in possession and how they were breaking lines. So it just gives me another opportunity to make sure, one, we're on the same page, but two, what are the things that are sticking out for them and how can I use that in my session planning moving forward?
Yeah, that's really good. And then for those of you who don't know what IDP is, it's just individual development plan. And that leads me to my third point is ask more questions. It's not like, hey, Tori, how can I improve? It's not that.
Yeah.
That's not really going to help you, like the random feedback here and there. Hey, Tori, I had a game this weekend and I was under pressure and I kicked the ball out of bounds. Can we talk through this? Can we work through this, right? Ask more questions. Reach out for more support. Hey, Coach Jill, I was feeling super nervous about this showcase that I had last weekend. And because I had so many nerves, I like hesitated in phase 1 outside the box and they dribbled it around me. Can you support me in this? Hey, Coach Leah, I have some time this next season in my fall to implement some strength and conditioning. Can you help me support me with my specific goals of becoming more explosive? Like go to experts in your field or anybody. It doesn't even have to be an expert. It like sometimes like whenever I worked in a team, I would ask the trainers like, hey, can you come help me? And then I would ask them what their thoughts were after the training session, just because I wanted to hear a different perspective. Or I would ask the EQ person, hey, like, what did you see in that? Like, did you see certain body language? What did you hear? Like, how did you feel like within the session? Was it uncomfortable? Did you feel safe? Like, just ask questions, ask more questions, and be very deliberate and intentional and specific about what it is that you're looking for. Not just like, hey, how can I get better? No. Well, I want you to think about it. I want you to take ownership. I want you to be more curious about your own self. Sure, if someone offers you some feedback that you didn't ask for, okay, you can listen to it, you can hear it. But I just want you guys, I think there is so much value in taking ownership for your own game and just being able to explore edges of your own game and being curious about your own game. You're the only one playing it. You're the only one knows that what you want from your journey playing football and being in this wild position of goalkeeper that is so difficult. So you be very, very intentional about asking certain people certain questions and letting that not only you don't have to take every single piece of feedback that someone gives you and implement it and try it and own it. You don't, but you can let it be like a sieve and you can filter out what it is that you're like, yeah, I actually think I could do a little bit more of that. Or maybe I could try a little bit of that. Or maybe I tried that and that doesn't work for me because I'm not 6'2" and I can't set like that and I can't play that vertically high. But you will have more definitive answers. You'll have more definitive answers in the areas that you want more support, right? I had a conversation with a goalkeeper yesterday and she said, I went to this camp and they told me I need to change my set shape. And I was like, okay. That's like, I'm not sure I agree, but like, why? why did they tell you to change your set shape? Because the only reason you would do that is because you're lacking something in one specific area that's your set shape is limiting you from getting, right? And, set shape isn't about aesthetic. I don't really care how you set, as long as it allows you to be the most mobile and cover as much goal as possible.
Yeah.
And I was like, that feedback might be good for you. Like, you might need to change your set shape, or you might not. But if you explore that feedback and filter out that feedback, you might have more certainty in the fact that your set shape is good, or you need to adjust it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll have more clarity and we'll have more definitive answers if we, sift through that feedback and explore it.
And you know what else is funny is, like, if someone asks me a question like, what do I need to be better, I usually then answer back with a question until I get them asking a question that is actually like more rooted in purpose. So it's like, it's so annoying, I think, to players. I'm gonna be real with you. Like, they kind of look at me like, but like, I'm not here to give you answers. I'm not here to like just spoon feed. We're here and we do what we want to do because we want to educate. You started this podcast talking about being an educator, and part of being an educator is helping them discover things on their own, actively recalling the things that they need support with.
Well, that's a great segue for us to shift gears. And so those were 3 things that as players you could instantly implement, like right now, this second, with no sweat equity involved, just more deliberate practice. So for coaches, we want to do the same thing. And I actually think players could probably gain a little bit of perspective as well from this part of the podcast. So if you are a player and you're still curious, like, stay tuned, because I do think these 3 things could help you as well. But to your point, Tori, not spoon feeding people, I think it's really important as coaches that, number 1, we observe more and adapt more rather than talk more. So I want to, first of all, this is how we design our sessions, right? What is the problem? Okay. Establish what it is that you're trying to work on, whatever your intended outcome is. 2, design the session, design the constraint, design the method and the way that you're going to get that intended outcome to come to fruition. And then observe, how is it going? Is it working? Is it not working? Is the constraint I implemented working for this player? If not, based on your observations, you have to adapt. So number 1, observe more and adapt more and talk less. So something that I have, this like hard and fast rule for myself, is that I do not give feedback in my first 1 to 3 reps. I don't. I let you explore. I let you try to figure it out and see if you're making any adjustments. And if not, I might stop it and I might adapt the constraint, or I might give like a little tidbit, like, hey, put more attention on blah, blah, blah. Right. But I think we're so quick as coaches to just give answers, joystick, spoon feed, because we want someone to take and implement right away. And we want that person to feel good about changing. And we want them to feel good about like getting the answer and solving it. Right. But ultimately, we know that doesn't lead to long-term learning and robust problem solving. That just leads to cookie cutter answers that, hey, obviously you had pressure and that ball was bending away from you. You should have just parried it out into safety instead of trying to catch, right? So observing more in training, what's going well, what's not going well, adapting it, and then trying to figure out, do they need a verbal intervention, or do they need an adaptation to the exercise? I think that's the art of coaching. But if we try to push ourselves to observe a little bit more and not just like tell the answers, I think it's going to lead to more effective sessions.
Yeah, I love it. I think that's like, when you think about our training, if you had to like severely minimize how you talked about it, like in a 10-second clip, that's a great way to break it down.
Yeah. I also think for players too, like that would be so helpful. But I would probably say, judge less, observe and adapt more.
Yeah.
That was bad. I was bad. I gave up a goal. That's judgment. Oh, wow. I was vertically way too low on the field. And that's why I could not impact outside the box. Okay.
Yeah.
I observed something. Hey, I got scored on because I was too deep. and then I can adapt. I'm going to wrestle and explore with my vertical positioning based on how deep my back line is, right? So judge less, observe, and adapt more for players. Number 2, this is both for players and coaches. As I'm talking, I'm feeling like, oh, this one hits me everywhere. Is we really want to kill perfection. Like drop it, lose it, it is dead, make it dead. It doesn't,
throw it away.
Exactly. It is an unrealistic expectation that everyone strives for, that is you're never going to reach, and always set you up for disappointment. And
also, what is it? Like, what is this? It's like this nether that doesn't exist, because what is perfection? Like, your version of perfection could look different than mine, could look different than Maria's. Like,
yeah.
That's not attainable.
It's not. And the other day I had to catch myself. I was so upset with myself. I said, "Oh, Ava, that was perfect." And then I literally stopped myself as it came out of my mouth. And I said, "I'm really sorry I said that. I shouldn't have said that. That wasn't perfect. It was incredible. It wasn't perfect though." And I don't ever want you to think that you have to be perfect, or that any single rep is ever going to be perfect. It's not. It's just effective or it's not effective. And I really had to I was really upset with myself about saying that. But it was a good learning lesson for me, like that I don't ever want to bring attention to perfection. I don't ever want anyone to perfect. Well, you can't perfect a technique, but that shouldn't be the focus. And you know what? As a coach, we do it without even knowing we do it. Yeah, yep. I could say that was perfect, right? But we do it by criticizing something that was super effective. Like, oh, your shoulder should have been 5 degrees more. It should have been leaning more. It should. Oh my gosh. That is how we perpetuate perfection. And it just is ridiculous. And it creates this unrealistic expectations for the goalkeepers that we get to work with, that they have to operate within this lens of perfection. So if they bobble a ball, they're upset about themselves. I'm like, who cares? Literally, this is ridiculous. Yeah. Who cares? You dropped the ball and you picked it right up. That's not a problem. And it's also not a trend. But you know what can be a trend is the fact you getting so upset about the fact that it wasn't, quote, perfect. And then your next rep is worse and worse and worse. And you get overwhelmed by frustration that we lose you for the next remainder of the 47 minutes that we have together. So
let me ask you a question then. Sorry, I broke you the big sigh. Let me ask you a question. So there's times, right, where it doesn't matter, right? You drop a ball, whatever, they picked it up. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not a trend. But when you're talking about something, let's say they make a save, right? Someone makes a save, but you're like, their shoulder does dip, and this is what hurts them when the ball's out here instead of just right here. Mm-hmm. So let me tell you how I go about it. I said, I love that you made this save. I think it's excellent. I'm never going to say anything in a game. It's great. However, I do think that that you see right here, that keeps you from putting this rebound here, is what makes you from not being able to save the ball when it's out here.
Yeah.
So how do we fix that? Or like, what can we adjust so that this is a save you can make at all ranges? Would you criticize that, or how would you go about that as a coach? Like, still talking about things without asking for perfection?
I try not to criticize something that's effective. I break it. So like, okay. So let's say that you're saying, hey, this is effective. In this circumstance, it could be effective, but if it were bigger, it's not effective. Well, why do I need to change it if it's closer to me? I don't. I just want to break them. I will expose them. Maybe is a better way to say it. I will expose that weakness, and then I'll ask them to adjust, right? So first of all, I need to bring awareness to the fact that this isn't really helpful for you in this circumstance. This is ineffective. The way I do that is I score on them and I expose them, right? Or I put a player in front of the goal to score the rebound because they aren't effective with their rebound placement once their shoulder goes past a certain point, right? And I will expose them that way to see if they adjust. If they can adjust on their own, great. If they're having some trouble, we might implement something like, oh, you have to dive in front of this dummy when going out to this point, right? But I try not to criticize anything that's effective. I just try to expose them where I know it's going to hurt them. So I link something, and then I'm thinking, well, if they did that in this circumstance, what would be the outcome, and how can I create an environment where that would be exposed more and more and more. Right? Because I think when something is effective, like i.e. you make a save, sometimes there's two camps. I didn't do it perfectly and I need to, or it worked. Why should I change? Right. And I think it's a fine line, right? Because I don't necessarily need someone to change something that's effective. For example, if I hit a shot from 18 yards away and there's nobody in the box to finish a rebound, I don't care if someone deadens the ball and picks it up, right? But it's different if someone is right in front of you and you have to be more decisive with your final action. So if that is a trend where someone continues to give up a rebound over and over and over, I will put someone inside the box and different positions in different areas, running from different spaces, from out to in to out, camped out centrally, to try to encourage either the goalkeeper retaining possession immediately or the goalkeeper shifting their rebound into a less dangerous area of the pitch, right? So yeah, I think that's one way that we can encourage adaptation without bringing negativity to the space too.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. That was a long-winded answer. Sorry.
No, but it was good because it was for me, and maybe it helps our listeners as well, but it also helps me. See, guys, you got to ask questions.
Well, that's the last one, Tori. You just hit the nail on the head. The last one that we have. Actually, that was for the players, but the last one that we have. Yeah, sorry. The last one that we have is give more specific praise. So. And ask more specific questions could be a good one too. But give more specific praise. Great pass. Well, that's okay feedback. That's good feedback. Like someone wants to know that that was great, but say why. Because yesterday I was working with a player and she said, I asked her a question and she said, well, it needs to be a good pass. And I was like, well, what constitutes good? Like, tell me more. And that was my way of checking for understanding to see if she knew about passing detail or not. And she didn't, because she couldn't articulate what good pass was. And maybe she just didn't have the words, but she also couldn't replicate it in the training session either. So I knew she needed a little bit more support. So I said, hey, define good. And she was like, well, like not in the air. And I was like, yeah. So good pass maybe just means the power and the placement set the receiver of your pass up for success, right? So the pace of your pass and also what foot you gave it to. Awesome. She was able to implement that right away in the next rep, right? So if I just say good pass or, hey, that was a bad pass, nobody knows what's bad about it, right?
Right.
Nobody knows what's change about it. Hey, change up the pace of your pass. Explore the pace of your pass. Be very specific. Be as specific as you can about, praising someone. I loved your bravery. Your bravery was so good. Your decision to come was incredible. Try exploring the timing of when to get into your spread, right? You give specific feedback like that and you praise people for like what it is that you want to bring attention to, they can do it again. They can implement it again. They can know what element of that final action was good and which ones that maybe need to put a little bit more attention to.
Right. Goalkeeping's hard enough. Let's take the guesswork out of it. What did you like? What did you think I could do better? And make it specific, right? The same way we ask players to ask specific questions, coaches give specific praise, give specific feedback. Not like you should or you could catch that. It's like, listen, elbows off your body and you create more pocket of space and maybe you can catch that next one. Or, wow, that touch is great because you bought space, which gave you time to scan for that highest value pass. And when you do that, you just take the guesswork out of it and you free up a little bit of mental space, which we all know you need as a goalkeeper.
Well, also too, Tor, is that the way we train, at least, we don't do stuff in isolation over and over and over and over again, like to perfect anything. So typically there's a bunch of different elements in our training, right? So it could be your movement into your set shape, your actual set shape, your positioning, your final action, your decision on whether, how to absorb pace, all these things. If you make one wrong decision, you could feel like the whole thing was wrong. Right? So if I decide to absorb pace by parrying it, but I parry it back into traffic, maybe my positioning was great, my set shape was great, my balance into my shape was awesome, the decision to dive or sweep or whatever was all great, but my decision on where I put my rebound wasn't. The whole thing doesn't need to be scrapped, right? So you could praise like, hey, your positioning was so much better that time. Your positioning was so much better. And just leave it at that. you could leave it at that. You don't even have to say anything negative. You don't even have to say anything about like the final action. You could if you wanted to, based on where someone was in their frustration level, right? If someone wants to light me on fire, I'm not going to say, hey, put your rebound somewhere else, right?
Yeah.
But if someone's fine and they're like accepting more challenge and they feel good about it, great. I might say your positioning was so much better. I saw less of the goal, but let's be more mindful of where we put our rebounds, right? Like, I just think being more specific helps people to understand like the whole thing wasn't bad. The whole thing wasn't wrong. Hey, I'm doing really good work here. I'm trying, I'm adapting, and I continue to adapt and adjust.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tor, it's so good to be back. This is, I think this was one of my favorite podcasts to do with you, because I think it's just easily digestible information for people to be able to implement in their game right now, their coaching game, to level up. As parents, I think parents, if you're listening to this, you can implement all these things just as much, right? Like praise your kids for specific things. Like it could be as silly as like, hey, I'm proud of you and you should be proud of yourself for being so brave today and something you're working on. Or as simple as, hey, you should be really proud of yourself that last night I noticed that this training meant so much to you that you got your gloves and cleats ready, prepared, and packed away and set by the door the night before. Like that really tells me that you're serious about this, and like whatever it might be, right? But I think anybody listening with a pulse could really benefit from this podcast.
Yeah, this is honestly, I'm sure people off the streets aren't just listening to our goalkeeping podcast, but like this is stuff that is life. And ultimately, I think that's why our parents put us in sports in the first place, is to teach you life lessons, to help you be active, to give you community and friendship. But I think that like these are the things that you can take, these little tidbits, these 6 things, and they can help you in pretty much every facet of your life. So I've really enjoyed this one. I really am excited about getting back. I think we are both ready to be back and ready to hopefully give you guys some knowledge and encouragement moving forward into your seasons and into your fall.
All right, question of the day. It's mine. I'm going to take it. If you didn't play soccer, what would be your sport of choice?
That is a really good question. I have thought about this before. I think probably lacrosse, to be honest, because that's a big one where I grew up to in upstate New York. However, I think I could be good at like a cross country running. I'm not fast enough to be a sprinter or have long enough legs, but like those longer runs, I think I could have been good at.
Okay. Would you have enjoyed it, or
No.
You just would have been okay?
I just think I like to run. Don't get me wrong. Like, I really enjoy running, but I don't think I would have necessarily loved having to do like 16 miles on a casual, you know?
Yeah.
But I do think that like, given what I've received as an athlete, that probably would have been something I'd be good at.
Nice.
Yeah.
I, on the other hand, do not have the body for endurance athleticism. However, I am testing my recently mentioned perseverance by training for some more endurance sports. But I think if I had a choice, if I couldn't play soccer, I would have been either a snowboarder or a basketball player.
Okay, I didn't see snowboarder coming, but I was like, basketball, she's shooting them.
Yeah, no, clearly I'm a winter sports girly. I don't know.
But you don't like to be cold.
I don't like to be cold. You're right, but that's why basketball works. And also, I don't know, when you're distracted with doing something that gets your adrenaline rushing, I feel like you forget that you're cold.
Fair enough. That's fair. I could see you being like, also, I want to play rugby.
No,
you want to hit people.
I'm not like that though. Like, I am a large person, but I'm also like not violent.
Yeah, I guess
I don't choose violence on a regular basis. I'm like a big softie, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta post up though in basketball. But I guess you don't want to like tackle people.
I wasn't a post up. I was a 3. I was a shooting guard.
Look at you.
Yeah.
My baller.
Anyway, friends, we want to support you. We love you so much, whether you've been here, whether you haven't, whether you live in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, New York, and you see us on a regular basis, or you live in Arkansas, Seattle, or North Dakota. We want to help you and we want to support you. So if you have any questions or you need a little extra love and support, reach out to us, jloyden@thekeeperinstitute.com. or you can reach out to us on Instagram, anywhere, hello@thekeeperinstitute.com. And of course, always thank you to our glove sponsor, West Coast Goalkeeping, who provide us the top tier equipment to provide the best training that we can, the gloves, the balls, the dummies, every single thing that we could ever need and want. Make sure you check out westcoastgoalkeeping.com to get all of your goalkeeping needs. And until then, we will catch you later.
We'll catch you later.